Welcome to Stories from Your Future Self. Unlike most podcasts who just interview high performers, on this podcast, I create deep, powerful breakthroughs for my guests in 15 minutes or less. We amplify their confidence, their revenue, their results, and get them closer to their big dreams. I'm Bogdan, and my clients call me the fastest coach in the world, partially because of my martial arts background, but mainly because I see what most people miss. And I do in minutes what most business or mindset coaches do in months. Now let's dive in because these insights will help you with your own personal breakthrough, getting you closer to your dreams. We are here with Andres Klaric, who is the co-founder and co-CEO of Fuse, a next-generation loan origination system that simplifies lending for financial institutions through self-service customization. Over the last decade, Andres worked on Wall Street, investing in tech and business services. I'm excited. I'm excited because I know his big goal, big dream is going to be interesting. I feel it in my bones. But before we dive in, Andres, tell us a bit about you, about your work these days. Give us your origin story.
Absolutely. So I was born in the United States, but I was raised in Bolivia in Latin America. I moved back to the US when I was 18, right after I graduated from high school. And my first job here in the US was working as a car salesman. I helped my family pay for college by virtue of selling cars at a dealership. Afterwards, I went to Penn, went on an Ivy League school here in the US, and then I got a job in Wall Street. I spent 10 years on Wall Street investing in tech and business services. Went to Harvard for my MBA. That's where I met my co-founder 10 years ago. And right after my journey as an investor, I decided to become an entrepreneur. Started the business with my co-founder Mark. And the first version of the business was selling loans to banks. But then we realized that the banks were far more interested in our tech, and they were not interested anymore in necessarily in buying loans. They were like far more interested in buying tech. So that's how we decided to switch from one thing to another. And that was the best kind of step we could have made, right? We got very lucky. And now we're working with multiple financial institutions here in the United States, and we help them kind of selling them technology for them to originate loans. So that's in a nutshell, like my quick origin story here, Bogdan.
I love that. Can you, because this is quite interesting for me. When you say you're building technologies, like for me, who's somebody outside of your industry, my first thought is, wait a second, don't banks give out loans all the time? What's the extra tech that they need?
Yeah. So the way most lenders today have some sort of technology, right? It's not that but you'll be surprised how manual that technology remains, right? So uh, technology has been there for the last 40, 50 years, right? That's why you have COBOL, you have then like core systems that were built. Then with the advent of the internet, kind of the need for branches became a little bit more reduced. And applications, lending applications became much more digital. However, the entire process of actually originating the loan, the entire decisioning process, the entire step-by-step set of things that need to happen for that loan to get decisioned, underwritten, funded, still requires human intervention, right? So what we do help is create deterministic workflows so that, think about a massive decision tree. We kind of help them visualize it so that they can actually automate processes as much as possible. Because if you automate those processes, you can deliver an answer much quicker to that borrower. And borrowers are like impatient, right? Like sometimes they really need the money now, or like they are shopping around. So you win them on speed, right? Like there's like stat after stat in terms of like how speed is becoming a very important metric to follow, because rate the rate that you charge is kind of dictated by the market, but the speed at which you operate is something you can control, right? So lenders are becoming very focused on like delivering offers to the customers much faster than anyone else, and without friction. Without friction means without having to ask a bunch of stuff that you can actually piece together
Hmm.
on your own.
That's powerful. And even for the operators, it's boring like crazy. I mean, I have a friend who works in the insurance industry, and he's kind of like, reviewing people's files or,
Yeah,
their cases, like, can we give money to this person? And it's kind of like, it's extremely repetitive.
yeah,
And like having a system in that way just frees up every employee to work on more important tasks at the end of the day.
exactly. Like that's kind of like that first. I would say like in terms of like the first battlefronts of automation, and then when you think about artificial intelligence, anything that is deterministic, meaning like is A equal to B or not, and if
Right.
if not, then like just next step, next step. Those are the type of workflows that we see as the front lines of automation today.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you said your clients are generally banks.
Banks, credit unions, finance companies, credit funds, anyone that is kind of an institution that is involved in the credit market is a perfect candidate for a product.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, let's get into the expansive side of this conversation, right? What would you say? The questions are kind of related, right? What is your big dream? But
Mhm.
let's take it a step further. What is a goal that you have that's so big, so exciting,
Mhm.
and yet so far away that it almost feels impossible?
Yeah, I do think that like obviously that there's like personal goals and there's professional goals, right? And so happy
Mhm.
to talk about both, but since we've been talking about the business, I building Fuse to the level that it scales and like becomes kind of this in cross-generational business is probably like the most kind of like intergalactic type of ambition
Mhm.
that I have. Uh, and for me, like the way that I see it is the first step is uh, reducing the cost of originating a loan allows more people to get access to credit, right? That's
Mhm.
kind of like
Mhm.
the end goal in principle. I do see that like when I think about Fuse in the next couple of years, of course today we're talking about only about lending, right? But this type of deterministic workflows that we have as an organization can be applied to a plethora of other markets. So when you think about healthcare, also had the same kind of deterministic thing when you're kind of trying to underwrite a policy. Same thing about applies to insurance. So I do think that today, the what is fused today, it's going to be like unrecognizable in 30 to 40 years,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
because we today we have an access point to a market, we have a hill to win, but it's not like the summit, right? Like
Right.
it is just a hill in which we get there, we gather enough momentum, and we climb the next kind of mountain, right? And
Mhm.
the next mountain for me is like, of course, help my investors make a return, be it via dividend recap or or an IPO, right? And post IPO, the way that I see it, is just building this into a much larger software organization for regulated industries, right? So that's kind of how
Mhm.
I see it. Broad strokes, really helping out these industries that are like so uh, bogged down by old software, get the best
Yep.
software so that their
Mhm.
users can like actually be delighted by it.
Beautiful. So here's what I'm hearing. You want the business to be, you said, intergenerational,
Mhm.
um, and you see it evolving over the years and solving this problem in many different industries because they are very much deterministic, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
with medical diagnosis, like you just nail it down, right? Now, here's a stupid question. Have you read The Jungle Book?
No, I mean the Jungle Book of like Mowgli and like
Yeah,
the Disney movie. I've seen the movie. I haven't read the book.
great. So why do you think people, because or any book, right, that survives multiple generations,
Yeah.
why do you think it does that?
Because there's probably a takeaway that doesn't age, right? That like there's either like it has been passed through like the verbal history, or just that there's like a takeaway that like is still relevant for broad strokes of people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And sometimes it's it's not even the takeaway necessarily, but the story is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what outlives the author and the owner is the story, right? So if you want your company to be generational, if you want it to expand beyond the current industry, it needs a relatable story, a relatable why for why it exists. It needs to be shareable, easy to understand, right? So what would you say is your story, the company's story?
For me, uh, I've always seen uh, credit as an incredible force for good, right? Like if you think
Mm-hmm.
about the last 500 years of human history and the foundations of capitalism and mercantilism and everything, which is access to credit, right? Like
Right.
to fund from wars to like aid, right?
Mm-hmm.
The, once people created the mechanisms within the legal frameworks by which you can actually lend money and ascribe a cost to it, so like entrepreneurs, just day-to-day people can actually go and pursue higher return opportunities. That has been a phenomenal engine
Mm-hmm.
for good, right? Like
Right.
it's undeniable. Have there been
So,
crises of credit? Have there been bad actors? Yes, but
mhm.
those are like just blips in the broader history of like capital movements. So for me, making that uh, increasingly better and making
Mhm.
sure that that person that today doesn't get a loan because of technology, the technology is better, is it's a massive undertaking and goal that I'm willing to spend the rest of my life doing.
That is a good why. However, it's not going to live beyond the, let's say the whole world has access to credit and finance. Let's say we've solved poverty. The company's not going to exist beyond that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
um, something to also get clear on is what you're actually selling, right? Because McDonald's has grown like crazy, not because they're selling hamburgers, they're actually selling happiness in the form of junk, right? But that's the emotion that they're promoting. Um, Same with Amazon. What they're selling is speed and convenience. You're selling speed too,
Yeah,
right?
and
So
automation, right? Like there's
it's not the product. The automation is the let's say the mechanism behind delivering speed, right? So what's another core component that you're selling that could be applied across all industries or multiple industries?
I mean, speed is like it's a massive kind of top of mind item for everyone else and like
Yes.
across
So
this industry.
exactly. So getting more specific, what you're actually selling is time.
Yeah, time machines. We're selling time machines.
Yes, exactly, right? People can
Mhm.
multiply their time through that, and time is money in many different ways, right? Now, what is required is a vision statement that is easy to understand, easy to share, because that will pull both you and the business forward, right? Um, Going back to the example of these big fish, you had Microsoft. The reason why they grew like maniacs was because they had a very, very easy and shareable vision statement. It was a computer on every desk, right? So back then it was insane because they were clunky, they were expensive, right? And but for the right people, it was extremely exciting. And now we have a computer everywhere, like in our pockets, like we're literally surrounded by computers. So if this you can workshop with your team, but off the top of your head, what would be that easy to share, take your time with it, right? Easy to share statement that your people, the right people, could really rally behind.
In terms of like something that well, we're essentially like the way that we're thinking about it. It's like we're essentially going to reimagine lending in the artificial intelligence era.
Okay. Ream lending, you said.
Yeah, because I think today
Mm-hmm.
like the the there's like a little bit of a evolution of
Mm-hmm.
how the rallying cry and I'm sure like Apple has also thought about like think different, right? Like and then they talk about simplicity in the rallying cry. You need to kind of reinvent yourself as an organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Multiple times, but I think today it's like really reimagining the way lending should take place in the context of all the forces that
I
are
wanna
happening.
challenge you to think a bit bigger, right? Because you're already a
Mhm,
master in the lending space, but um I would like to challenge you to think bigger and allow the company to grow beyond that, right?
mhm,
So if we were to take lending out of it, and if it was that
mhm.
has something to do with time, something to do with humanity, like at a global scale, because like SpaceX, creating a
Yeah.
multiplanetary species, planetary level, right? That's what makes it great and attracts the highest level of
Mhm.
talent in the company, right? So something with time, something that has to do with the whole humanity, and something that has to do with technology, right? So like these would be three keywords for your statement, right? Mine is simple. Mine is like empower, and we have bubbles. I don't know how to
Mhm.
turn this crazy thing off on
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
Um, Mine is empower entrepreneurs, eliminate poverty,
Mhm.
right? So what would be that vision statement for you, right? Time, humanity, tech.
If it would be time, humanity, tech. Oh,
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
This is not easy, by the way.
Yeah. No, using technology to move. Uh, Not
Mm-hmm.
using technology. Technology for it's hard to think on your feet like
It's
this, right? Like
challenging.
not
It's
something I was
challenging.
ready.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
No, I'm putting you on the spot
especially
right here.
because I no because it's it is kind of like specific frameworks of how I should actually think it versus like something that's more broad, right? Like if I need to just think it through that lenses, I do think that like enabling access to capital, broad strokes, making it easier and frictionless,
Mm-hmm.
uh, enables humanity to just advance their dreams much quicker, right? Like the
Yeah.
minute if you put speed bumps to capital, definitionally progress doesn't take it's evolve at the pace that it
No,
should,
hundred
right?
percent.
So so you can say like you can say accelerating progress through more efficient capital markets, right? Like or human progress through more something like that would probably uh, be like a first draft of like that
Yeah.
something that would probably take hours to actually put together.
At the same time, that wouldn't apply necessarily to medicine, to like the medical industry,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
I wouldn't know. I am not a doctor, so that part
yeah.
would be a little bit harder for me.
So something like this is like difficult. I usually spend like 90 minutes with a client using AI to kind of find these statements. But that's what I would see, like something that has to do with time, humanity, and tech, and putting your own twist on it. The reason why I keep coming back to make this broad is because the business's limit will always be the business owner's mind, right? I think it's super powerful that you're so focused. I think that's the main reason why you're so successful with this. That's the main reason why you've been so successful in your life. Like, we have a huge track record of success. And at the same time, expanding both your minds, yourself and the co-founders, to think of the business as this huge impact, like an Amazon that can have multiple different sectors and serve multiple different sectors,
Yeah.
not limiting it to that sector, will really give the company a lot of direction and a lot more pull, right?
No,
Think of it this
and I
way.
do,
Yeah.
and I, no, and I do think we have that. It's more like
Hmm.
how do you manifest it into one sentence, right?
That's the
If
challenge.
it
Yeah.
do is the rallying the war cry the rallying cry. That's
Yeah.
what is needs to be verbalized. But in terms of like, if I had to tell you the vision in a more kind of this extended conversation, it will it's something that I shared, right? It's more
Yeah.
the can I summarize it in like uh less than 10 words, right? And that is
Yeah.
what is an entire exercise to be done.
Yeah. It's like Mark Twain says, right? I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
is there anything
yeah.
else you feel like, what else do you feel would need to happen for you to achieve this huge vision?
I mean, it's time, right? It's really it's time. It's there's a component of course, like relentlessness, right? But this strategic thinking. Um, but I do think that it's there's a component of luck too. I do think that a lot of people do not
Hmm.
appreciate the level that just pure chance plays in their lives. You need to help chance, but I'm a big believer that it's right timing, right market is pretty important too.
Correct. And may I add another crucial component to that? What I would
You
add
want to add
is,
something, or you want to, yeah, yeah,
yes, I would also add leverage,
yeah,
M meaning you can collapse time with leverage. You're doing it for your
yeah,
clients.
with people, yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're doing it with your for your clients by creating systems that collapse time, right? So if
yeah,
you had to do it for yourself to create a system that collapses time, what would that
yeah.
system look like?
I mean, it'd be a combination of technology and people, very smart people. They're far smarter than me, helping me
Yes.
do the things that I'm not good at.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And that's why you need a fun, exciting vision to attract these geniuses, because high performers have a lot of options, right? You stand out in the market by
yeah,
having a unique offer for them that they don't normally have access to, right?
yeah,
A unique mission.
yeah.
Where can people find you, Andres, and where can they learn more about your work?
I'm available to chat with anyone on LinkedIn. I've had great mentors in the past, so if I can pay it forward, it'd be great.
Beautiful, beautiful. Guys, I'll link Andres's LinkedIn in the description. Absolutely check him out, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Logan.
Thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to be featured on the show and experience your own transformational, powerful breakthrough, apply through the link in the description. And I'll see you soon.